Hey everybody, happy Monday. This is Overpass Live. I'm Eric. I make apps. This is the weekly live stream where we just sort of hang out and talk about whatever we want to talk about. And lately, I haven't been doing the live stream every week. It seems like it was, was wondering whether or not I was doing it too frequently. So we're trying to pull back to once every other week and see if that works better. Or, if you guys, if you want to continue doing it every week, we can do it next Monday. Sure, why not? All right, next Monday. What is next Monday? Is it a holiday? No, but the Queen's Jubilee it might be the Queen's Jubilee next week, or is that 2 weeks from now? I don't know. It's coming up though. Anyway, we have like a big 4-day weekend here in England. So anyway, the last few weeks have been pretty busy. We had Google I/O since the last time we talked, which is actually kind of exciting about some of the announcements they had on there. I've been working just flat out on several different projects. Just been, last time I saw you guys, I had the sty on my eye, which would look really bad when I saw you, but it got way worse. I got like this big thing. I thought it was gonna drop off my face and scutter underneath the couch and everything like that. So it's been an interesting week. I hope you guys can hear me okay, first of all, before I get going. I have to say that at the beginning because there have been times in the past where I just talked for like half an hour and all I get is a bunch of comments. When I finally glance over the screen, a bunch of comments of people saying, can't hear you, can't hear you. There's no audio. So let me just make sure you guys can hear me okay. Oh, I can use the right microphone. Let's see. There we go. That should be a little bit better. Actually, switching different microphones. So yeah, it's been a bit busy week, and so the entire weekend I've been playing around with Flutter 3. And again, I did a video about it, but might as well talk about it here because it's on my mind. I'm pretty excited about some of the stuff that's coming out, just in terms of desktop applications, in terms of using Flutter, Flutter for Flutter for the two platforms, the Android and iOS, but also Flutter Web, which came out with Flutter 2, and with the this new version where we have Linux, Mac OS, and Windows Desktop, which I think is pretty exciting. So I have this project that I've been quoting for all day, right? And it's I've done this project in Xamarin Forms, and it works pretty well. It's nice because I was able to take two different code bases, both equally buggy in different ways, and take them and just build it into one code base using Xamarin. Right? I could have used Flutter, right? But use Xamarin. And now I'm quoting for a Windows desktop application of it, which should be easy. Except I haven't done Windows development in forever, right? Like I don't even know the deployment thing. For me, it was always like package a deployment wizard, create an install, and then just give it to them, right? And now you got the Windows App Store and everything like that. So that's something I've been trying to get my head around. I'm trying to use a virtual machine to connect to a device using UDP packets that get transmitted back and forth to. Oh, did it? Okay, Morris says it got worse after I switched it. Oh yeah, so I'm using an expensive microphone. I guess we just use one on the desktop. So is that better? Okay, better or worse? This is gonna be like the eye exam. Okay, is that better or is that worse? Let's see. Let's see this going. Better or worse? This is number 1. This is number 2. Do you like number 1, or do you like number 2? Who doesn't like a good number 2? We'll go with number 1. We'll go with number 2. And unless it sounded better the other way. So yes, we've been working on doing a lot of marketing for a few different, trying to reach out and get some new clients, and that's been a bit busy. It seems like I've kind of been all over the place, but not in one place enough. I've been reading Cal Newport's Deep Work again. Every time I read Deep Work, it's like, do you know what it's like when you're reading Deep Work and you keep getting distracted while you're reading it, and you're like, dude, this is this is why it doesn't work. Sounds farther but clearer. Yeah, this is one coming from the actual iMac. So yeah, so I've been reading Deep Work, which is it's a really good book. What else have I been? I've been reading. I finished reading Atomic Habits a while ago, and I just started rereading it again. Actually, listening to the audiobook again, just because it's like one of those books where you once you get to the end of it, you're like, like there's like so much in there, but it's also a lot of like really common sense. Like when you read, like so many books out there on habits. There's like the 1% rule. There's Darren Hardy did that one called what was it called? Darren Hardy did this one, which is kind of like the 1% rule, where like you just like incremental changes and stuff like that, they get better and better. Patch said they're both fine. Okay, cool. All right. So I actually say like Kevin's here. Hey Kevin, how's it going? Morris said the audio just get worse. Sounds Father's Day's coming up, but clearer. Okay, cool. Patrick says they're both fine. Cool. And we got Bogdan. Hey Bogdan, how's it going? It says, hi Eric. I finally released my new app is developed with Flutter. Most developers argue that the best choice for app development is native, but for solo developer like me, Flutter is the best. You know what? Yeah, I mean, yeah, see, I hear that a lot too. Like, and it's probably, I mean, obviously it's true. Like, it's better to do native, right? But you're like, it's like a sports car is better than just like a normal car. But like, you try to live within your means, right? If you have time to develop both platforms, and to debug both platforms, and put the new features into both platforms, and and everything like that, then yeah, it's fine. You could just go ahead and do native in both of them. You could learn both languages. You could deal with the issues that both platforms have, or you could just build it on one, right? Usually, and I've been doing cross-platform development pretty much since the beginning, right? When I think the first one, I was like kind of like interested in Android only back before I became this big Apple fanboy and everything like that. It was just like Android only was really what I was interested in. I wasn't, I don't want to go in the App Store, I don't want those, those pompous iPhone users using my app. But it was like when I actually did release it to the App Store, there was less downloads, but a lot more purchases. And that was something that I really, obviously good. And also the RPM of the AdMob ads were like much higher on iOS. So that's why I went a lot more in that direction, right? I found that Google Play had a lot more clones and copycats, and just, and a lot, and then as more and more of those came and more people tried to scam the system, the more regulations got more and more difficult. So like, at least with the Apple stuff, like once it's live, you're good. However, I keep having this thing where with client projects where I have to release a new version, right? And it was been like, might be version 8, right? We've like released so many versions, and they come back saying, oh, these screenshots aren't, they've got a problem with screenshots. I'm like, dude, we've submitted the same one over and over again, but it's a new reviewer. So you have to deal with that kind of stuff. And I've known people in the past, like even like clients, like that have been like, it's not very often, but occasionally like, can you just call them up and tell them that we had this before? It's like, it's better not to argue with them. It's like going through security at the airport. It's like, dude, my job is to get my app from here to over there. And my job as a traveler is to get from here to over there past security, right? I'm just, whatever you need me to do, I'll do. That's what I am with the Apple reviewers. But, so I found that, so that's why, when I did go to cross-platform development mainly, was because it was just so much easier. Like, I just want to go to both platforms. I want to have one code base. Like, I don't want to have to, I want to be like, there's certain things where you should test on both platforms because you'll have like environmental things, but a lot of it, the core part of the application is going to be consistent. It's usually when you're going through like say like on iOS, we'd always have memory issues. Like Android device can handle like a big image, but an iOS physical device, like an iOS simulator, would be totally fine too. But then when you actually load on a physical device, it would just crash, right? It would just get a memory exception, and no stack logs, no nothing, just poof, poof. And that's why like testing on both devices is important. But like I say, cross-platform development is like you do majority of your development on the platform of your choice. Like, because I'm on a Mac, I find it easier to do it on an iPhone simulator than I do on an Apple the Apple emulator, because the Apple emulator takes longer to load on my Mac for some reason. But I've seen other developers like actually use the Android as their primary, even on a Mac. So I don't know which one you guys use. Morris says Flutter 3 should be good for simple apps that you need to release on all platforms. Yeah, you say simple apps, but even like even when it came to like Ionic applications, like we had some like Ionic version 1 where we had some which had a high frame rate, and and the conventional wisdom was, oh no, you can't, don't do it on Ionic, don't do it in a web view. But once you tried it, it was like it was fine, right? There's like I can remember some, and it's like one of these things where you have this perception that that the platform can't handle it. Like, whatever, if you use this language, you won't be able to handle this kind of stuff. But a lot of times it's fine. Um, Bogdan says, first I developed an iOS app, then it took me a couple of days to adapt it for Android. Mostly I need to configure services like purchases, Firebase, etc. It looks the same on both platforms. That's cool. And Patrick says, I thought Flutter was the best, but I've been using Ionic 6 Plus Angular, and I like it better. I tested with the 2017 model Android, and it's running smooth with CSS animations and transparency. That sounds cool. Okay, the one thing I do miss about Ionic was just having that. I mean, I guess now with Flutter is kind of the same. You have that quick feedback loop and everything like that, but using the web tools was, I thought, and this is using Ionic version 1, just being able to like set your breakpoints in the web tools and everything like that, I found to be really cool. Morris says, I'm not making any more apps until this woke crap goes away. Don't want to lose years of work to an angry Apple employee. Dude, you might be waiting a long time, right? We deal with the we deal with what we have. Do you honestly think it's gonna go away? Like, do you think it's do you think how long do you think you wait? A year? 6 months? 10 years? Let's see. Patrick says, Flutter is finally catching up to where Ionic plus Cordova Electron was a few years ago. Yeah, I know, but like the one thing that I didn't like about Ionic and Ionic and Cordova, I never really use Electron. Well, not personally, but but I've seen that's like the desktop and stuff. But it's the web view stuff. Like that was something that always kind of bothered me. Like you'd always get these kind of issues where like, and I know that it's not so much the same anymore, but like especially in Ionic version 1 before like it was like really easy. I had a client come to me once and they had an app, and it was like I was able to look at it and see from the CSS that this is definitely an Ionic app. And then I was just able to go to like APK downloader, download the APK, change the APK to a zip format, and then just be able to go through and had access to all the code. It was just like, it was that easy. I didn't decompile anything. Everything was just there. And I know now, like with Angular 2 and everything like that, that wasn't the case. I know it's a lot more secure in later versions, but that was something that kind of scared me a bit with that. Shamir Muskad says, Maksud says, hello, sir. I have many apps on Google Play Store very similar to each other, but I updated them 1 year ago. Do you think I should make changes to each of them or leave them to avoid suspension? Good question. I don't know. So every so often I'll go through and update mine, but it's been a couple of years before I have. And a lot of mine are very similar to each other. I mean, it was just, so I had the script that will go through, and because it was like this reskinning thing where I'd have like the core, I basically changed the code so that it would have all the image assets and the strings and everything in one folder, so in one directory, so that like I could just run this script, a Node.js script that I wrote, which would just go get it, put it in there, run Fastlane on it, and compile it and upload it. Yeah, Fastlane does a compilation, does that? I can't remember. It would compile it, and then it would use Fastlane to upload it, and it would just go through all of them like that. And it was like a lot more simple to do it that way. But it was like, I kind of go, but I haven't heard a whole lot of Google using that, actually suspending people for the repetitive content policy. Not as much as Apple has. Apple's just been, for years, there's just been like a really difficult with that kind of stuff. Patrick says, once CSS transformations and when animation API were added to the WebView, performance is similar to Flutter. Honestly, I'm not that big on CSS animations. CSS animations, when it came through, I was like, dude, I got jQuery. I'm old school, right? And that's why I was in the office, last week, and somebody was talking about how great CSS animations were, and I was kind of like, yeah, it was one of those things where I think I kind of moved away from web. Oh, that's not true. I guess they were there, but I was kind of like not using them. Like, I'm barely at the point we're using for CSS for positioning, right? I still like when I started using tables for positioning, and I still kind of like, okay, I don't use tables for positioning. I do use this CSS for positioning actually, but it just seems like it got like the CSS3 and stuff. It got a lot more advanced, a lot cooler, and everything like that. I always thought, yeah, CSS shouldn't be for positioning. It should be more for the styles and everything. But, um, you know, yeah, I said, I'm not coming back to CSS until they change all this positioning crap. just so yeah. Let's see. To the same way that Morris said about that woke stuff. Tom says, "Hey Eric, hope you're well. I finally started to make a small amount of ad revenue, and it's giving me the big, give me the big to code again. I'm looking to make an Android app, so I won't. So I don't want to code in Java. Would you recommend Flutter or React Native? Yeah, this is one of those ones. I think you should look at both of them because I know React Native developers, and they're not like we've had a few apps in React Native, and it just seemed like every time I use them, I would just have trouble with it. I like the way that Flutter looks. It's like a personal preference thing. So if you're, yeah, I would try a tutorial on both of them, see which one sits better with you. Um, you know, yeah, see which one sits better with you. Because I don't think, like, performance-wise, I don't know how big a difference there is between them. I don't know if your users probably wouldn't notice the difference between them. What I do like about Flutter is the way that everything is just sort of drawn on the screen and everything's sort of fluid. I use, like I said, I use Xamarin Forms a lot, so we use XAML, and it's like, just doing something like an oval, or putting something inside an oval. You're getting all this, like, it's almost like the old days of HTML, where you're like trying to make something look like something natural when really you're kind of kludging a bunch of stuff together. Whereas in Flutter, everything sort of fluidly flows onto the screen, and I like that. I like the fact that it's everything's just pixels rendered as opposed to elements displayed, if you know what I mean. Let's see. Shimmer says, "Thank you for thank you for the answer, but by the way, how many apps do you have suspended on Google Play Store? My account has 4 suspensions for repetitive content policy, and I still made similar apps afterwards, but no suspensions." Ooh, no, I've not had suspensions for repetitive content policy. Actually, I did have one. So so the big one, Ear Spy, which became Ear Agent, which became, it's just like, I kept trying to, like, change it so it fit in with everything. That kept getting suspended, and it appealed, and it suspended and appealed. I had a few others that were just suspended, and I didn't really argue with them. So I guess I've had 4, I think, but it's been over a long period of time. The quickest one I had, and this might be a repetitive content. Like, when you say repetitive content, is it like repeat? Like, is it similar to one of your own applications or something that's already out there? Because I did have one back in the reskinning days where you kind of thought, everyone's making this reskin thing work, and maybe I should give this a try. So I bought some code on Chupa Mobile, and which I don't even know if that still exists. And then it was like a swing copter clone, and so I gave it to my designer. He made it look all like fitting in with our other apps. So it was Spy Copter, and as soon as we released it, like 12 hours later, it was suspended. Like, I didn't even appeal it because I was kind of embarrassed the fact that I even went down that route. Like, because I was like, oh my god, okay, lesson learned: don't buy code and clone it ever again. But a lot of my own applications, I forget, it's like my framework. I built that framework. I should be able to use it. Like, if you were going to have if you were any kind of construction, like if you're doing anybody, you built something that served multiple purposes, you should be able to use it for different things. Especially if it's for different audiences, and that's one of the things that I don't like about repetitive content policy, or the Apple. God, was it? Was it F? Yeah, I said it so often before, but their version, which is, I think, a lot more severe, where they're saying, like, these apps are too similar to each other, you have to merge them together, and you're like, but they're completely different audiences. Like, if you had one application that, this one appeals to little kids and this one appeals to, I don't know, senior citizens, they'd be like, nope, it's got to be the same application. You're like, well, how do you market that to both and neither at the same time. Like if you're gonna have, it didn't make sense. Like you're taking a technical limitation, like everything is the same. Like you go to a card shop, you go, look, all these cards are just folded up pieces of paper, right? They all got to be one card, right? It doesn't make any sense. So basically, you create something which is a framework, as long as you're not just like it's the same thing again and again and again, and it's appealing to completely different audiences, and it makes sense. And that was the thing with my language learning applications, where it's like if someone wants to learn Swahili, they're not going to download an app that says learn Chinese, right? It's a different audience. The concepts are still the same, but like, nah, they're too similar to each other. Like, and we use different graphic assets, different terminology, different content, different music, different everything. And they're like, nope. It was like a rubber stamp thing. And that's, and that I still get angry about that. Morris says, I don't think wokeism will go away, so I'm learning how to make PWAs and WebGL-based apps. If I make native, it will be with Flutter. I know, but you can't. I get what you're saying, right? And you could take a stand, right? You could say, I am going to not participate in this system. But then you're like, what's the difference between that and not doing anything at all, right? It's kind of like when Apple started rejecting everything, like a lot of people say, screw it, you know what? I'm not going to the App Store anymore. So yeah, but that's kind of where all the users are, right? That's like, it's like saying, I'm a filmmaker, but I don't like the policies of Hollywood, so I'm not going to release my film in cinemas. And you're like, well, where are you gonna, that's where everyone goes. I guess you got, well, I'm not gonna release it on any streaming platforms or anything. I'm just gonna like whatever. And you're like, I don't know. I mean, but I get your frustration. I really do. Morris, what is your specific concern about wokeism regarding apps? I'm trying to understand how they're related. I know. I was like, a friend of mine suggested, like, I had this idea for like a kind of an adult app, like, which I don't know how I can talk about without going too far into it, but it's kind of like an adult themed app. And my whole thing was, I don't know if Apple would accept it because they had that whole thing against pornography and everything, which it's like, which I kind of get, but then it's like that, censorship is censorship. So let's see. Joe says, Eric, back in your AdMob Prime, back in my AdMob Prime. My God, I used to roam the land with my AdMob revenue. Do you remember how much of your earnings would get deducted monthly from invalid traffic? I don't know because I never really saw that. Like I didn't have those statistics, and I don't think I ever really, when you look at the AdMob console and then you see what comes in each month, I don't think I ever saw like a discrepancy big enough where I was like, hey, hang on a second, I didn't like. I guess my counting wasn't very good. So like if it was missing a few dollars, I probably wouldn't have noticed. Let's see. Morris says, for example, when Trump's Twitter account was deleted by an intern on the last day at Twitter. Yeah, that's the app stores. That's not the app stores. It's that's at Twitter. And something, and yeah, you could take a stand, right? But I think it's and I think it's good to take a stand, but if you take a stand and no one notices, then are you really taking a stand? Otherwise, or work with the system, right? The big thing to do if you create an application that got so much traction, and then you try to do something they didn't like it, you could do like Fortnite did, like Epic did, and just be like, then people would notice. Then all of a sudden you got more people behind you because they're protesting everything. It was like that. So anyway, thanks everybody for the thumbs up, by the way, those of you guys who left one. So, but yeah, the wokeism thing. It seems like that kind of thing where everyone's kind of catching up with it. Like nobody talks about wokeism in a positive way. It's become this derogatory term, right? Even the woke people don't consider themselves woke. It's kind of like this thing. Like it's like nobody's like, yeah, we're woke, yay. It's like it's like this thing where we all kind of. I mean, I get it wrong, but it's a bit like, nobody's pro-woke, nobody's pro-bullying. Like when somebody says, I'm anti-bullying, they're like, everybody's anti-bullying, even bullies, because they don't consider themselves to be bullies. Let's see. A Civil War game was removed from the app stores because it had the Dixie flag in it. Oh, well. AdMob payments, view transactions. Each month will display your invalid deduction. You can still check it. Well, let me check. Let me check real quick. You guys can't see my screen, can you? You kind of can, but you can't see it like officially. Let me see if I can see with my. I'm not in my AdMob Prime, by the way, so there's that. What'd you say? You said you said AdMob payments view. View transactions. Let's see. I'll check for May so far. Oh yeah, I can't see it. So yeah. So so last month, and I can tell you this because I can't tell you the ECPMs, the RPMs, whatever. But I can say last month, my starting balance is 148 pounds. Well, actually no, this month so far. That's not last month. Actually, let me check last month. So last April, I did way better in April. April, okay, let's see. So, I got earnings from YouTube in this as well, though. So I've got, like, last month, I've got invalid traffic. At first, I had 23 pounds deducted, and then I had 12 pounds, 17 deducted. So yeah, I do see that. But I don't think I ever looked at that. I don't know if that was in there in my AdMob Prime. My AdMob Prime. Let's see. Rumble was removed by Apple, Google, then Amazon for allowing legal speech. Yeah. And Patrick says, I understand what you're saying. Without getting into personal opinions, it can be frustrating that markets are owned by companies whose brand decisions do not align with yours. Yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, and I mean, I kind of, yeah, I get that. Yeah, I get that. It's but you got to find an alternative. You have to find an alternative. Like it's, I'm like, with the spy applications. Well, I mean, I guess I'm like an example of this. Like it was my ear spies up, which like I honestly could point to toys at Toys R Us that did the same thing. Like, and they were called spy, spy whatever, and it was just like this, this little headset thing, and you listen to, you put this thing over there, and it's like uses radio waves and everything. It was the exact same thing. And that's what I always justified it with. Like, if Toys R Us has it, and I have it, whatever. And it just became this, thing. It kept getting, oh, you're condoning spying and everything like that. It's like, not really. It's just, it's just a little toy. Says, and Patrick says, the bottom line is these platforms are private property and they can choose who participates and how. Our only option is to find a new market if we don't like their rules. I know that's the thing all over. I mean, it's even with like the Twitter and stuff like that. That's the whole thing with Elon Musk coming in and taking over so that he could like restore some of those, take away some of those algorithms. A lot of it isn't like, some of it is the woke stuff, and some of it is these algorithms. These algorithms that come through and just take things out. Because we've all seen those news stories where like people watch a video about whatever. They're watching a video about the Holocaust, and then they see like neo-Nazi ads or something like that. They would see something in there that would be like totally inappropriate, and so now all these algorithms that go through and say anything that looks inappropriate, it's probably better just to remove it. And I think that's probably more what's happening. A Christian bakery is sued out of business because they didn't make a cake for a gay wedding. They were a private company with a brand. That's okay. Tough. I found this on the web for what is sued out of business because Siri sometimes just goes off for no reason. But yeah, so cool. Wow, this is gonna be like a short live stream today. I think we got a small group today. I think this is like me going once every 2 weeks is probably not the best thing. I have to rethink that policy. But anyway, thanks for, everybody for joining the live stream. If there's no other questions, yeah, I'm really surprised about that invalid traffic stuff. I haven't really looked at the AdMob that that closely. So for me, I can see my AdMob earnings go through, and I could also see my from my applications, but I can see my YouTube's earnings get into that same thing, and they do seem to deduct it, which I'm wondering why that is, because I don't know, it's not from me. Anyway, everybody, hey, thanks for joining the live stream this week. If you want to do it again next week, we can. Otherwise, we'll do it in 2 weeks' time. Let me know. I'll try to get a video. We'll get a video out next tomorrow, and hopefully one on Wednesday as well, and try to get a bit more frequent with them. I need to talk a little bit more about this Flutter 3 stuff. There's a few more ideas I have about stuff to talk about, and like that. Last thing is, Morris says, anyway, don't trust Apple or Google, to be fair to developers. Yeah, but I mean, they're the ones, like, if it weren't for them, we wouldn't even have this platform. So, but I'm not being an apologist for it. I'm just saying, So, and then our last thing is DJ Snoopy Zap the Poet is here. Hey, how's it going? Anyway, DJ Snoopy Zap, we're just about to finish our live stream. So, actually, last thing. Joe says, Eric, how's your secret project app coming along? It's going well. It's at the point now where it's marketable, like where I can start marketing it, and that's one of the things we're doing at the moment, trying to do the cold email stuff. I haven't done any videos on it, and it's something that I keep thinking I should do, but I'm like I want to see if we can use these, get Google, if we could use some Facebook ads and stuff like that, and get some traction to it first to see if, like, we're at the point now where it's marketable, and we see if it has any legs. So take it to the point where we could demo something, and if there's anybody who's interested in it, then yeah, we just fix this up and everything like that. But so far we haven't. So, and let's see. And Moore says, "Hope I didn't kill the live stream." No, you didn't kill the live stream at all. That was a good point. It was a good discussion. So, and we're just a small group here. There's only like 7 people watching. So, which by the way, I appreciate you guys being here. 7 is plenty, right? If you guys are all here, hey, if anybody you in the area, come on over. Let's let's have some coffee. Let's see. Let's see. Anchorage says, any opinions on blockchain development? I looked into it and using what is I keep forgetting the language. Oh, what's the Ethereum one? It's not Selenium. It sounds like I mean, it looks like a simple thing to do. I just kind of see a really good business thing for it. Like, why would you use it? Like, if it wasn't a currency. I think that's the thing I have the hardest time, thinking, like, why is this such a big deal? Because I can think of a few use cases for it, but very few. Like, because it's slower, it's more cost, and everything like that. So, let's see. Joe says we're excited to give it a try. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm a bit skeptical. Like, so. But yeah, maybe in a few weeks, if I don't get any traction on it, yeah, we'll just show it on the live stream. Well, talk about it, and you guys give me your feedback. And go, oh, here's why people aren't using it, because it sucks. So, Solidity, that's it. Oh, fuck. Solidity, yes, that language, and it was like, let's see, and Patrick says it's built around a Postgres SQL instead of a NoSQL database. Is that why it's slow? I thought it was slow because it's the distributed architecture. And again, it was like one of these things where I was like, yeah, I'm looking into it, think, okay, can I do I was looking into it, and it was more one of those, like, I realized it was like, it would sound really cool to say I use it. A bit like machine learning. Like, machine learning has some really good, I think machine learning is much more exciting. But even then, you think about the practical applications, like, and what use case would you use this? It's not like you can use it in every single situation. You use it like, there's some situations where it would come in really, really handy, and there's a lot of situations where it would be overkill. And with the blockchain development, I think, like, most situations I can think of, and maybe I'm just not imaginative enough. Most situations I think it would be overkill. So anyway, everybody, hey, thanks for joining the live stream once again, and and if you want, we'll do this again in another. We'll do it. Let's do it in 2 weeks, unless you guys want to do it next weekend. We can do it again. Oh, return to is super base. You missed my previous comment. Did I? I think I did miss it. It didn't come through. Weird. Yeah, I didn't see it. Yeah, I might have to, like, Ecamm. I play, like, I pay for Ecamm Live to use this software. A lot of times it just, it's do my monthly expenses, and I think this expense come out every month. I'm thinking, it does seem to fail quite a bit. So sorry I didn't see that previous comment there, Patrick. Anyway, hey everybody, thanks for joining the live stream. Hopefully next time you see me, the sty will be completely gone. I'll be completely healthy, and everything will be back to normal. But anyway, we have a video coming out tomorrow. That's it. Stay healthy, stay safe. I'll talk to you guys again in a couple weeks. See you later. Bye.